Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It's Tuesday afternoon here in the Eastern time zone of the USA. It's time for Tuesdays with Tim and Jeff. I'm Tim, K3LR, and along with me today is Jeff, KB8ZWT. Jeff, what are you hearing on the phones?
Well, people are asking what type of coax do I need for VHF, UHF, and HF? Can I use the same for all?
Well, that is a great topic, and we're going to jump right into it today. I brought a couple of things out of my file, and I want to share with everybody here. So we'll do a share screen, and we will. Jeff, let me know when you see the my slides.
Yep, it's up.
All right, great. So one of the things when you're thinking about coax and you're thinking about UHF, VHF, and HF, one of the great things that you need to have in your station is a common ground bar or a common ground bus.
Yes.
It can be as simple, Jeff. I've seen guys use copper pipe.
Yeah.
And bond to that, but you need to have a central grounding point in your station. And this is a product that we have here at DX Engineering, and it works very well. I have several of these in my shack, and they work very well. Copper is great because it's a very, very low resistance, and the bar comes already pre-drilled, so you can put the hardware in. And I like using brass or copper hardware with the copper bonding bus. And you can see here the tin copper braids. So and I'm going to go through in a little bit more detail why you want to use tin copper and not just take old coax apart and try to use that braid.
Right.
And also note the strap that is there. It's on the left-hand side. There's a 2-inch wide copper strap, and that actually goes down to my ground rod. And you notice also there are external tooth lock washers. They're also copper or bronze. And so this is how you set up your ground system, your bonding system in your station. And another shot at that, you can see the copper strap coming up, and another shot of it, the tin copper braids, that's 1-inch wide, and the copper strap. Very important to have a direct connection to your ground rod, as short as possible and with the least amount of resistance. And these wide conductors have the least amount of resistance. And this here is the DX Engineering tin copper braid, and I use this all over the place. What's nice about this, Jeff, is it comes in pre-cut lengths with the terminals already on it.
Right.
And you've got the heat shrink. It's soldered correctly, very heavy duty lugs. And again, it's 1-inch wide, which is really, really good. And you want to have it tinned because that way the oxidation that occurs in copper doesn't happen with the tin on it. But you don't want to use this outside. And the reason is because it will wick water. It will absorb water, and it will deteriorate very, very fast. So this is for indoor use only. And jumper cables that go between the radio and the amplifier and the watt meter here at K3LR, I use the RG400 double shield, and this is a pre-made cable that's 3 feet long. We have these in stock, and it's Teflon. It can handle 1500 watts, no problem at all, because it's got the Teflon dielectric, and it has 2 silver-plated shields. So these are high isolation cables. We do sell RG8X like this too, and DXE400 Max. The nice thing I like about this is that this cable is small, yet it's very flexible, and it is the high isolation. And notice this cable has been made by DX Engineering, it has the heat shrink on the back, and that's got flooding compound in it, so that's a really, really good seal. And of course, the shield is soldered to the connector. So you can use crimp-on connectors too. There's no problem with the crimps. In fact, with DXE 400 Max and with LMR 400 or any of the LMR cables, you can only use crimps on the shields. You do not solder the braid, because it has to be crimped down to that foil shield. And here are our color-coded ferrites. And here's the ferrite in place for the, this is on a power line. So this is going to, I think, one of the rotor boxes here at K3LR. And notice the tight winding around. And more of the ferrite cores in place, again, as a choke on the RG400 coax going into a filter, and also on a power line. This is 13.8 volts feeding a computer, and again, to knock down any noise that could occur on these lines. And another shot of the a choke in place on a DC line. And also, when you're thinking about Cat 5 cables, Cat 6 cables that are in your shack, they can be subject of RF getting into them, and they also can radiate birdies that you can hear on the HF bands. So we have a product called the ISO Plus. This was the prototype of the ISO Plus. It looks much less beta-like now in production, but this is the ISO Plus, and that knocks down all the birdies. Another shot of the ISO Plus. Really ingenious filter. And here's a number of ISO Pluses on one of my switches for the Cat 5 here at K3LR. And every line has an ISO Plus at both ends. And how about this? This is a bad looking PL259. This had water in it. And this is what happens when water gets into a connector, Jeff, and then you put power to it without knowing that there's water there. It burns up the connector, and that's really bad. And it will burn, you know, even on this PL258, a double female, it would burn in there. And a good clean connector on the right-hand side. This is an Amphenol 831SP using best quality connectors. And even good coax goes bad in time. We've talked about here on this show about replacing coax every 8 to 10 years, just because the outside covering does deteriorate. And where you have a rotor loop where the coax is hanging and swinging in the wind for years and years and years, eventually the braid will break. And so this is what water does to the shield of coax cable. It turns it actually black, and then the losses go up. The SWR gets better, but the losses go up, and your station performance is compromised. And even tarnished connectors like this can be a problem. And so you want it, if you have equipment, here's a Drake watt meter sensor where I installed new SO239 connectors, and these are silver plated Amphenol with a Teflon dielectric in the middle there. Now, this is a problem. Here are coax connectors where the shield is not soldered. The shield is just shoved in the back of the connector, and the amateur radio operator is hoping for the best. Well, hope is not a strategy. And so you do have to solder those shields. You can solder them through the holes, or you can use the crimp connectors, and the crimps are fine for this. Or one of the methods that I do, I actually solder the shield over the back of the connector. It is a little unorthodox, but I'll tell you what, I know that shield is soldered, and I know the dielectric is not melted. This is a top quality connector. This is an Amphenol 831SP. You're not going to have any trouble with this connector, nor the DX Engineering connectors. They adhere to the same specs. This is very easy to solder to because the body is silver plated. So it sucks up solder real well. And then you need to make sure that your connectors are tight. It's very important to make sure your connectors are tight. And we sell this channel lock, the CNL 426. This is really good because it won't over tighten. You can't get enough torque to over tighten, but you need to make sure that your coax connectors are tight. That's very important. I also want to talk a little bit about coax loss, and we will get to that here. Let's see. We're going to go up here. First, let's look at the ISO Plus. Look at all those birdies, Jeff, on the left.
Wow. This
is taken on a spectrum analyzer at an amateur radio station. It wasn't here. This is W3TMB. This is his station, and he wrote a review that is posted on the ISO Plus page. And that was his spectrum before. And then when he put in the ISO Plus, look at that.
Big difference. Wow.
All that down. And so this is just, it shows exactly how impressive the performance is of the ISO Plus. And Jeff, you had a customer that was asking about what coax should they use for VHF, UHF, and HF. And this tells the story of why you don't want to use something like 8X. If you look on this chart, at 150 megahertz, there's 3.8 dB worth of attenuation. And so it's only 42% efficient. However, if you're going to use it on the HF bands, if you take a look at 10 megahertz, it's only 1 dB down. So it's not bad at all. Conversely, if you go to 400 max at 150 megahertz, it's 1.8 dB of loss. So it's a lot more efficient. And you want to use good quality coax cable. These charts, this chart here is available on all of our coax pages on the website, and you simply go to documentation, charts and guides, and here is the coax selection chart. And so that's available for you at dxengineering.com. Inside of the 400 max, I talked about two shields. There's a braid shield and there is a foil shield, and these must be crimped. We solder the center conductors, but the shields must be crimped because they have to come together at the connector. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we're thinking about when it comes to coax and connectors and Ferrite here at DX Engineering. So let's see what kind of questions we have here, Jeff. Let's see, we've got K3LR is in with us today. Nice to see you, Steve. And let's see, Greg, NC7B, he's getting ready to order more coax for his latest project. You know, Jeff, we were talking about it's in the 40s today here in Pennsylvania and Ohio. So guys are thinking about antennas. And
just got off the phone with a guy. He's going to work on his antenna this weekend. Ordered some cable.
There you go. And KL4 Sugar X-Ray from Alaska. And we have Whiskey Juliet 3 United. It's great to put your call sign in there so that I can catch your call signs in the chat room there. And let's see, we got November X-Ray 8 Tango, Jim. He says, listening to your show here at work gets me through the day. Well, that's good. And at least 3 days a week we're on. And we've got Delta Lima 6 Radio Delta Echo is on from Bavaria. And always nice to see Germany in. And Joe, K0NEB, he says, it looks like much easier for station wiring to amps and switches. And we've got KA3DFK, Chuck. Talked to Chuck this morning on the, actually he was an early check-in, I think, on the net this morning. And we have Dawn, Whiskey Juliet 3 United. He says, I have copper water service about 3 feet from the shack. Copper service is about 40 feet to the street. Will that help with the station ground if I use 2-aught welding cable for connection to the station ground? I'd rather see you use a copper pipe or a copper ground rod. Actually, it's a steel ground rod that is copper plated. That's actually how that goes. That's a much better, you never know what's going to happen with that water pipe. And so it would be better to use a copper plated ground rod and get a short connection to that, and don't involve the house. And every once in a while, you know, plastic pieces get in there. You don't want that. Italy Tango 9 India Delta Golf is on with us. And K2ICC says, any jumper cable model to use with an amplifier, 1.5 feet or 3 feet, but flexible. I would suggest the RG400. They come in pre-made lengths. You could also use RG213. And again, we have them with the connectors already installed and soldered. Shields are soldered. They're high pot tested. You know they're going to be good. So thanks for that question, K2 India Charlie Charlie. And from Chuck, KA3DFK, he said, would ferrite work around a lamp cord that I have in another room that I make blink? It's a touch lamp. Absolutely. The number 31 2.4-inch OD core is exactly what you want. Put about 7 or 8 turns on that. Get it as close to the lamp as you can. And that will take out all the blinks. And we have the number 31 ferrite. And remember, DX Engineering, we paint the ferrite so you know what the mix is. It's very nice. 8 Papa 6 November Whiskey from Barbados. Nice to have you on, Tim. Oh, it's just AP6NW. And Delta Juliet 5 Bravo Tango, also from Germany. And WD8 November Victor November, he says, I will be changing all my coax when the weather is warm. That's a great idea. That is, you know, so many guys think it'll last forever, and it just doesn't. Especially when it's outside, you know. I mean, Jeff, you found that out.
I found that out, yes. Especially if you're running a yard aerator too close to it, it doesn't last.
Whiskey 6 Germany Foxtrot says, great topic in education. Thank you, from Union City, California. Thanks for being here, Gary. And Michael, Whiskey 3 Mike Lima Juliet, taking a break from high school. And let's see, we've got Steve says, does LDF Helix deteriorate over time? Yes, it does. It does have a longer lifespan, but the dielectric is the thing that can deteriorate. And especially if you get any water in, boy, that just is a killer. So make sure you keep the water out. Mike India 5 Juliet Yankee Kilo from Northern Ireland. And Steve is November Alpha 5 Charlie. Thanks for being on here, Steve. And Marty, NN1C, says, excellent presentations. Feed lines are critical. And DXE has the stuff to do it right. I like your hat, Marty. That's pretty cool. Dino, KL0S, says, money on good coax pays off. It really does. That's not a place to scrimp. Jeff, you know, you've been at the Hamfest and you see some of this no-brand
coax. You don't know what you're getting.
You have no idea. And coax connectors, they're cheap for a reason. They're not the quality that you want. If you're going to spend good money on a radio, spend good money on connectors.
Correct, yes.
N3 Whiskey Sugar is in. And the tall guy, Jeff, your antenna selection from my mobile modification was perfect. Great footprint and clears my garage door.
Awesome.
Hashtag another perfect DXE order.
Yeah, he placed an order last week for an antenna for his vehicle. Glad it's working out, John.
Great to have you in the chat room, John, and can't wait to have you back up at the store. Whiskey 4 Juliet Mike Charlie, and Whiskey 6 Alpha Alpha Echo, and Mike India 0. Let's see, Tango Juliet Mike is from Belfast in Northern Ireland. And let's see here. We've got Chuck, K, Charlie Victor Mike, and our friend Ray from ICOM. N9JA says working on copper pipes and water fixtures after our hard freeze last week. Sorry about that, Ray, and hope you get all back together soon. And Ron, WB3LHD, says connectors are the weak link in any RF system. And also have connectors sometimes males and the difference in station performance. The connectors do make the difference in station performance. And from Greece, we have Sugar Victor 2, Charlie Lima Juliet, and also Kilo Juliet 7, India Echo Alpha. And from Quebec, it's Victor Echo 2, India Alpha Tango. And we've got Victor Echo 3, Oscar Radio Kilo from Ontario. He says, thanks for the info. And Doug, N7 Bravo Victor Tango. And let's see, we've got congratulations, the quality of the presentation from Papa Sugar 8 Delta X-Ray. And Rich Kilo Zulu 9 Kilo says, did I understand you to say that the dual shield coax 400 max must be used with crimp connectors? Soldering the braid to the connector is not sufficient. Yes, that is exactly what you heard me say. And if you look at our website for 400 max, we explain that. And also LMR 400 times microwave also explains that you cannot solder the shield. You have to crimp the two shields together. Otherwise, the cable performance is compromised. And let's see, K2ICC says, great, better than I expected. Need to get to order them. Give Jeff a call. He'll hook you up. And let's see, we've got, go down the list here. Whiskey 1 Quebec Papa, Kilo 6 Radio Alpha Golf, Kilo Uniform 4 Echo Tango. And Dan, K3TEF says, I love these episodes you guys provide. Very valuable info, intro to the products and how they work. Cheers. Well, we're going to be doing more of that. I got inspired here, and we're going to be doing more of that. And Rich over in Australia, Victor Kilo 2 India Zulu, it's 5:30 in the morning, and that would be Wednesday morning over there. And Joe says, replacing all feed lines and groundings was part of my cover story in January CQ magazine. And Dino says, split loom is great stuff to help protect exterior coax or even conduit. You know, plastic conduit is good. And let's see, Glenn, 8 Papa 6 November Whiskey says, does coax length matter? Yeah, the longer it is, the more loss you have, Glenn. So you want to keep your coax as short as possible. And Joe says, new good coax is like buying an amplifier. That's right. You get back all those losses. And let's see, we have, Steve says, I have Westlex coax for my UHF VHF antenna. It's been installed for 15 years. Would you recommend changing it for new coax? I have never heard of Westlex. So not that I know every coax manufacturer out there, but I do know the good ones. And I would highly recommend changing it out after 15 years.
15 years.
Yep, especially for VHF, UHF, Jeff, the losses can really add up. And Dawn, November 8 Delta Echo, is changing lots of coax in the spring, summer. And let's see here. Let's see, November Alpha 5, Charlie, I subscribe to CQ before Christmas. Haven't seen an issue yet. Any info? I would suggest that you contact Whiskey 2 Victor United at CQ Magazine, and that would be my suggestion. I got my January issue, I think, 2 weeks ago, so that I would suggest you contact CQ directly. And Ken says, what TX coax is best for -5 degrees Fahrenheit? Ken, any of the DX Engineering coaxes can handle well into the negative area on temperature without any problem whatsoever. So you shouldn't have any trouble with it being that cold. Whiskey Papa 4 Golf is on. Kilo 4 India Delta Tango is on. And John says, how far should I space my ground rod station and antenna ground rods? Actually, they should be spaced maybe about 4 or 5 feet apart, and they should be connected so that you have a common ground system. And we'll get into more things about grounding here as time goes on. But Jeff, I'm standing between you and lunch. So
yes, you are.
I'm going to let you go because you need to get back on the phones.
Yes.
And we hope everybody had a good time today. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. And if we can help you have more fun with amateur radio, give us a call at DX Engineering or send us an email, and check the website every day. We're adding products like crazy. Look in the what's new and also check out hot deals. Until Thursday afternoon for the manufacturer's showcase, and you don't want to miss it. We've got ACOM amplifiers. It's going to be on live from Bulgaria. ACOM amplifiers will be on live for the manufacturer's showcase with us this Thursday. For now, 73 from DX Engineering.